Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. Today we are talking about three topics. One is the connection between the CCP and the recent riots in Los Angeles. Another is the news from Russian intelligence about Xi Jinping having multiple heart attacks recently. And finally, we'll look at the recent FBI arrests of several Chinese individuals smuggling pathogens or biological materials into the US. We'll dig into whether these are just individual acts or part of the CCP's unrestricted warfare against America. Before we dive into today's topics, I want to tell you about an awesome product called Quest Eye Patch. Since so many of us spend way too much time staring at phones or computers, way more than the 2 hours a day experts say is safe, a lot of people deal with dry, tired eyes or even blurry vision. Over time, this can really mess with our health. This Quest eye patch is made to fix this problem. It uses all natural Chinese herbs and advanced tech to let those ingredients get absorbed through the acupuncture points around your eyes. This super effectively improves your eye condition and eases eye fatigue. 86% of users say their eyes feel fresher and more comfortable after using it. This product is safe, works great, and costs less per use than a cup of coffee. So everyone, go grab one. The link to buy it is super easy to remember. It's just my name, Jennifer Zeng, jenniferzeng.com. I'll drop the link in the comments or description. Thanks for your support. All right, now let's get to our first topic. Back in 2023, I reported that the CCP has an ignition plan to create enough chaos worldwide to overwhelm the US. I also reported that stirring up chaos inside America, infiltrating and undermining it from within is a long-term strategy of the CCP. And no surprise, behind the recent violent events in Los Angeles, there's indeed the shadow of the CCP. Since we are short on time, I won't go into details here, but I'll mention a few key points and you can check out other media reports for more. The key points are: 1. The CCP is funding the LA routes through tech billionaire Neville Roy Zeng. 2. Zeng is linked to pro-CCP groups like the Party for Socialism and Liberation and the People's Forum. 3. Recent investigations by FBI Director Kash Patel confirm a probe into foreign funding behind the riots. 4. Zeng has donated nearly $65 million to organizations supporting the CCP's stance. 5. This People's Forum, funded by Zeng, organized pro-Palestinian protests in 2024, tying into border unrest. 6. Evidence suggests CCP propaganda efforts, with Zeng attending a Communist Party workshop in 2023. 7. Congress is now involved, with Senator Grassley and Representative Luna pushing for investigations into foreign influence. Senator Josh Hawley is also calling for an investigation into who is funding the organizing the LA riots. I also reported Zeng's involvement in anti-Semitic activities on American campuses in 2024. Now, our next topic. According to a Russian language a Telegram channel called General SVR, over the weekend, the Russian Politburo got a report from the Foreign Intelligence Service SVR. The document says Xi Jinping has had a heart attack on the night of May 25th to 26th and two angina attacks last week. The report also claims that some Chinese leaders have already decided to remove Xi from power. It separately mentions that forces close to the Chinese leader will do everything they can to keep things as they are. This is the English post from the channel on X. I want to say this news matches up with what we've been noticing. From May 20th to June 4th, Xi Jinping disappeared for a total of 14 days. And when he reappeared to meet the Belarusian president and the CCP appointed 11th Passion Lama. Both meetings happened in the same reception room near his Zhongnanhai office. This room looked pretty plain, which is a big change from the locations and the setup used when he or his predecessor Hu Jintao met the Panchai Lama before. So even before the Russian General SVR channel said Xi Jinping had a heart attack, Chinese language channels were already guessing about this weird downgrade in the meeting location. They came up with two possible reasons. One is that Xi Jinping's health is failing, so he can't travel far, so he can only meet guests near his residence. The other is that Xi Jinping has lost power. They say he's only been brought out to meet guests to put on a show because the CCP isn't ready to announce that he has lost power. Now let's move on to our last topic today. Let's start with the facts. In this month alone, U.S. authorities have busted several Chinese nationals trying to sneak dangerous biological materials into the country. Here are some jaw-dropping cases. On June 9th, the FBI announced that it had arrested Chen Xuanhan at Detroit Airport. Han, a PhD student from Wuhan, China, was charged with smuggling biological materials related to roundworms. She sent 4 packages from China to a University of Michigan lab between 2024 and 2025. These materials could pose risks to public health and national security. When questioned, Han lied to federal agents and even wiped her phone clean days before arriving. Shady, right? Just days earlier, on June the 3rd, 2025, 2 other Chinese nationals, Yun Qingjian and Zun Yongliu, were charged with smuggling a fungus called Fusarium graminearum through Detroit's airport. This fungus is no joke. It's labeled a potential agri-terrorism weapon because it can destroy crops like wheat, barley, and rice, causing billions in losses worldwide. It also produces toxins that make humans and animals sick. Jian, a researcher at the University of Michigan, reportedly received funding from the Chinese government and was a loyal CCP member. And it's not just 2025. Back in June 2023, police in California stumbled upon an illegal biolab run by Jia Beizhu, a Chinese national. This lab, operated by unregistered companies, prestigious biotech and Universal Meditech, hosted 900 genetically modified mice, some infected with COVID-19, and over 5,000 samples of HIV, hepatitis, dengue, and monkeypox. Filthy and unlicensed, the lab smuggled samples from China via third-party logistics, bypassing customs. Zhu's operation shocked authorities, highlighting vulnerabilities in U.S. biosecurity. These are cases that have been uncovered. How many others haven't been caught? They aren't isolated incidents. It's a pattern, and it's raising red flags about what's really going on. Now, here's where it gets even scary. There's evidence that the Chinese military is deeply involved in researching pathogens like this. The People's Liberation Army, or PLA, has been studying agricultural pathogens for years. For example, in 2017, the PLA's Academy of Military Medical Sciences published a study on wheat fungus resistance and virus transmission. Another PLA-affiliated university, the National University of Defense Technology, has doctoral dissertations on pathogen spread. The PLA's Military Medical Research Institute has specialized units for microbiology and toxicology. They've also partnered with China's Ministry of Agriculture on grain disease early warning technology. This shows the CCP's military sees agricultural pathogens as a national security issue, not just a farming problem. Why would the military care about crop diseases? Because disrupting food supplies can cripple a country without firing a single shot. It's sneaky, cheap, and hard to trace. The CCP has a strategy called military civil fusion, where civilian research and military goals are blended together. Food security is a huge part of this. Since 2008, the CCP has ramped up its focus on grain reserves and disease prevention. In 2011, the CCP's National Development and Reform Commission and defense agencies ran disaster simulation drills for agriculture. By 2021, internal CCP documents called for emergency grain reserves to counter extreme weather or foreign pathogen attacks. Fusarium gramineums Lirum, the fungus smacked in Detroit, is one of the world's top 5 high-risk agricultural pathogens. The U.S. Department of Defense lists it as a dual-use concern because it can be weaponized. With lamp twigs, it can produce toxins more effectively, wiping out entire harvests of wheat, corn, or soybeans. Even a small contamination can disrupt supply chains, costing billions. The CCP isn't just worried about feeding its people. It's thinking about how to use food as a weapon. And America's open system makes it an easy target. And this brings us to unrestricted warfare, a CCP concept that says war isn't just about tanks and missiles. It's about attacking an enemy's economy, culture, and even food supply in sneaky ways. A 1999 PLA book, Unrestricted Warfare, lays it out. Use any means necessary to win, no rules required. In a leaked 2003 speech, former CCP military leader Chi Haotian allegedly said the US and China are in a you die, I live struggle. He talked about clearing out America to make room for Chinese expansion. The speech fits the CCP's aggressive rhetoric very well. Smuggling pathogens that can destroy crops, that's exactly the kind of low-key, high-impact move unrestricted warfare is all about. It's war without a battlefield. How does the CCP pull this off? Through control. Chinese students studying abroad like Zeng and Han are often under pressure to serve the CCP's goals. The CCP's United Front Work Department monitors overseas Chinese, encouraging them to love the motherland by connecting intel or even sabotaging other countries. Many students see it as patriotic duty. The CCP also expects total loyalty from all Chinese citizens. Laws like the 2015 National Security Law require individuals to assist the state. No questions asked. Refuse, you could face punishment back home. Imagine being a student thinking you are just doing research, but the CCP is pulling the strings behind the scenes. That's a scary amount of control. Experts are sounding the alarm. Dr. Lin Xiaoxu, a US virologist, says Fusarium graminearum can survive in plants for years, spreading again the next season. Researching it requires special permits, but the University of Michigan lab where Zeng worked didn't have them. Dr. Lin suggests the CCP might be directing these efforts to threaten America's food supply, similar to how it's been linked to fentanyl smuggling or even COVID-19 spread. Dr. Lin Xiaoxu raised a critical point during a TV interview. He noted that based on past research papers, Jian Yunqing and Liu Zhunyong were studying at the molecular biology level. If their goal was purely research, they could have brought some plasmid for the expression of individual proteins into the US. There was no need to bring an entire fungus, as transporting fungi is complex. It's a highly complex process. Why would they take such a step? Moreover, according to the information released by the FBI, the fungus they attempted to bring in was likely genetically modified. In the FBI's released materials, there is a marker labeled ARP9, which corresponds to a motor protein, specifically an actin-related protein. If ARP9 is modified, it could impact chromatin remodeling, chromatin restructuring, and gene transcription. Dr. Lin Xiaoxu stated that it's currently unclear what the survival rate of the fungus is after such genetic modifications or what the purpose of the modification was. Additionally, Zhejiang University, where these two Chinese nationals were affiliated, has military civilian cooperation agreements with the Chinese military. Therefore, it's unknown whether the research had military objectives. So, judging from all this, Dr. Lin believes these two Chinese nationals were acting on a mission, not simply pursuing their own research interest. Dr. Lin further explained that this is similar to the case of Canadian Chinese scientist Xiang Guoqiu, who sent live samples of deadly viruses, Ebola and Halipa, to China. She was fully aware of how dangerous these viruses are and the extreme caution required to handle them outside a lab. Why would she send them to China? Dr. Lin argues that these actions cannot be explained as mere scientific research. This includes the California lab we mentioned earlier, which may also be serving the CCP's highest level unrestricted warfare strategies. Commentator Fang Wei argues this is part of the CCP's three unrestricted war, attacking agriculture, infiltrating tech, and waging cultural battles. He points to cases like mysterious Chinese seeds mailed to U.S. farmers in 2020 and 2025 as deliberate disruptions. The experts argue this isn't just about a few rogue scientists. It's a coordinated effort that could hit America where it hurts our food, our economy, our trust. So why should we care if pathogens like Fusarium graminearum get loose? They could spike food prices, cause shortages, and destabilize our economy. In a war, a weak food supply means a weaker military and a weaker nation. Pathogens are cheap, hard to trace, and don't need armies, just a few people in the right places. That's what makes them so dangerous. America's openness, our academic freedom, business freedom, and privacy laws makes us vulnerable. The CCP exploits these gaps, using students and researchers as tools in a hidden war. Here's the big picture. The CCP sees America as its number one enemy and is already fighting an undeclared war. Smuggling pathogens could be one piece of that puzzle. To stay safe, the U.S. needs to crack down on these threats and support efforts to weaken the CCP's grip on China. A free China, not ruled by the CCP, would be a safer labor for everyone. That's for today's episode of The Inconvenient Truth. What do you think? How should America respond to all these CCP threats? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives. If you could, please visit my website and Jennifer Zeng blog to sign up for a membership, make a donation, or become a subscriber to my X account. As a member or a subscriber, you will get early access to exclusive scripts that are only available to members and subscribers. Stay curious, stay informed. Thank you, and we'll see